Today I'm going to be working on a 2014 GMC Acadia.
The truth.
Alright, in today's video we're going to be changing out the upper and lower radiator hoses on the Acadia. One of them's been leaking really bad for a while now, so I wanted to change it out and I figured might as well do the other one at the same time. So first things first, let's go ahead and pop the hood. So because I'm going to be jacking up the front of this car, I'm going to go ahead and set the parking brake just so it doesn't roll anywhere. And I'm also going to be putting a wheel chock in place as well, just to make sure the car doesn't roll anywhere. Better to be safe than sorry. But with that being said, let's go ahead and jack up the front of the car and get it on some jack stands. Alright, now that we got it on jack stands, we're going to go ahead and do the other side as well. Alright, now that both sides are on jack stands, we can easily start draining the coolant. Make sure your reservoir cap is open, and we're going to find the drain plug underneath and start draining it out. Alright, so I'm up underneath the front end of the car here, and this is our radiator. I can't find a good spot to drain it at, so I think what I'm going to have to do is, there's a lower radiator hose right here. What I have to do is loosen the clamp on this thing. I'll show you guys here in just a minute, and just put a bucket underneath and just let it pour down into the bucket. I was hoping there would be like a little drain valve I could open and just let it all out, but I'm not finding anything. But you can see my upper radiator hose is leaking really bad. All that's just good and wet right there, and it runs all the way up. I don't know how well you can see, but that's why we're changing out both hoses, because figured if one's leaking, the other one's probably going to start leaking here soon. Alright, so this is the lower radiator hose, and that's the clamp holding it on. So I'm just going to get a pair of pliers in there, squeeze it, move the clamp, and then we should be able to wiggle that hose enough that coolant should start pouring out into our bucket. I was able to get up there with a couple different pairs of pliers, crimp onto that thing, and scoot it up. It's just past this bar right here. But, yeah, I had to, like, run my one hand this way and have the pliers on the other hand. See, there's the clamp right there. But yeah, I had to scoot it up while I was squeezing it with the clamp or with the pliers and to get it up out of the way. But now that it is out of the way, I'm going to get up underneath here with like a pick. If I can find it. Get up underneath here with a pick and just kind of break it loose and let the coolant just start flushing itself out. Alright, I'm just going to let mine dribble out for a while. I could let it loose, but it's going to cause a big old mess. So instead of that, I'm just going to let it dribble for a while I work on other stuff. So I'm going to start taking off that top radiator hose first here in just a minute, once I think the level's down enough. So let's start taking apart pieces up top to access this top hose. And it runs right back down in here. There's the end of it there, and it runs back up underneath this way. So I'm going to take the engine cover off. I'm going to take this big plastic piece off, and hopefully we'll have some better access to these hoses. Alright, now with the engine cover off and this front cowl off, we can look down inside here and see this is the other end of our lower radiator hose. It runs down and then back under there. You can see everything is wet from where it's been dripping. And we got our upper radiator hose right here. It runs around and through and then to right here, the bottom of this fill cap. And you can definitely tell this one's been leaking. You can see how wet it is around here. We saw the droplets down below as well, where it's just been running down the side of the radiator. So this is the main one we're replacing, but I figured while we're in here, replace this lower hose as well, because they're both stock and they've both been in here since 2014 when the car was made. So it's been almost 11 years. So yeah, about time for things to start going out and needing to be replaced. So I'm gonna go ahead and loosen up this clamp and this clamp right here, so we can start taking this hose off, and then we'll work on the lower hose in just a minute. But the coolant level should be low enough. It's still just kind of dribbling out the bottom, but it should be low enough where we can take this one out and not cause too big of a mess. So let's go ahead and take this clamp off and this clamp off. I'm also going to remove this cap right here. We're going to need it to fill. I've got a bottle that kind of sits on top of here and it's just going to burp out through the system. But I'm going to take it off for now. I'm just going to kind of leave it loose. That way we get better airflow, not just with the reservoir cap open. We also have the actual radiator cap open. Wow, that was a pain. Sorry, I had to move the camera because I needed to stand pretty much right where the tripod was. But I did get it, the hose clamp itself locked, which when you open it up enough, it's got this little latching pin, it locks into place. So it's locked, it's up out of the way. Let's see if I can focus for you guys. There we go. So now I can get a pick behind here and start prying this hose off. And then we can get this whole top hose out. Like you saw a minute ago, this one's already off. So it's just this side I need to finish getting off of here. Having a bit of a difficult time getting mine off. I was trying to get my pliers on it to like break the seal free. All right. So I'm having a bit of a problem trying to get this hose off of here. It is pretty sealed to this metal pipe. I've tried grabbing it on with a pair of pliers. You can't move it too much because there's this metal bracket right here. And then you got the engine mount right over there. So I think my next resort is I'm going to use a knife and very gently just cut the rubber. If you're having to do the same thing, do not cut the aluminum because then it will leave like a gouge and then you're going to leak coolant from that gouge. So if you've got to use a knife like me, just be very, very careful. All right, there we go. Now our upper radiator hose is out of the car. All right, so now with the lower radiator hose, we're only just getting a few drips out of it. So it should be empty enough that we can take the rest of it off. So if we come up here to the top side, we can access the hose clamp right here. So we're going to take this one off, take this hose off, and then the whole hose should come right out of here. All right, so I got that hose clamp slid back. So now I'm just going to get my pick underneath here, try and wiggle it off like I did the upper radiator hose. I may need to use a knife like the other one, we're going to see. But either way, let's get this hose off. And there we go, now our lower one's out. All right, so you just want to do a quick side-by-side with your old ones and your new ones, just to make sure that the angles are the same and you got the right hose from the store. I got mine with Gates. That's the part number for the upper radiator hose with Gates. And this is the part number for the lower radiator hose with the Gates company. Most of your auto parts stores should carry Gates hoses. If they don't, they should have something comparable. So now I'm going to transfer my hose clamps to the new ones, and I'm going to take this sleeve looking thing and put it on the new one as well. All right, now that our new hoses are set up, let's go ahead and get these ones into the vehicle and yeah, tighten down our clamps whenever we get them onto the actual hose itself. I'm gonna start with the lower radiator hose. I'm gonna run it the same way back behind these cables and hoses back here. Get them to go all the way down. There it goes. Just kind of maneuver it into place. And we're gonna get it onto, if you can see, onto this pipe right here that's right behind our hose. And for our lower radiator hose, we're gonna get it on the pipe as well. This one's a little bit more tricky just because there's not a whole lot of room to work with, but I gotta stick my hand up this way and get it onto that hose. All right, now that it's on the pipe, I'm gonna go ahead and get my hose clamp. It's somewhere on here. Feel it, there it is. We're gonna move it over to where the hose meets up with the pipe and go ahead and clamp it down. Try and get your hose clamp in a decent position so when you clamp it down, it's easy to get off next time. I'm gonna want it something like that just so I can get in here next time with a pair of pliers and crimp it and be done. But let's go ahead and get this all the way back and tighten that guy down, and we're also going to tighten the other one down. All right, for the upper radiator hose, we're going to pretty much do the same thing as how we took it out. Just going to route it down in here and try and get it to fit into place. I made it up to this pipe up here, and I'm going to mate it up to the plastic pipe over here for the radiator. And it's only going to go in here one way because it's got this weird little bend thing pretty much right where my hand's at, just to go around the brace. So once you get it on there and on there, we're going to go ahead and tighten up these two clamps. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and put the engine cover back on. So once again, we got that clamp tight, this clamp tight, clamp down there tight, and the one at the very bottom down there tight as well. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna open this guy up. We're gonna start filling it up with coolant, and then I'm gonna put my jug on top, and it's gonna burp out the system whenever the thermostat opens and lets all the air out of the system. Now I'm gonna be putting my coolant bottle right on here, and then I'll top off my reservoir once I'm done. But I'm going to fill it up through here first. All right, mine was a concentrate, so I did the full bottle of concentrate and now a full bottle of water. And I'm gonna go underneath and double check we're not leaking from anywhere. Remember that hose that we took off up here? I don't see any leaks coming out. I don't see any leaks coming from this side. I know it's kind of hard for you guys to see, but I don't see any leaks up here. All right, I'm gonna run it for a bit. I'm also gonna fill up the reservoir with what's left of this water from the concentrate. And then we're gonna run it. We're gonna let it, the thermostat's open. It's gonna bubble up through there. Make sure we keep our level up enough. And yeah, after that, should be good to go. While I'm inside, I'm also going to turn on the defroster and crank the heat all the way up. That way it goes through the heater core as well. Now cars typically get up to about 210 degrees before the thermostat opens. Now you saw my clear water starting to mix and turn a little bit orange. It was the thermostat opening up and allowing the coolant to flow through. A lot of bubbles came through as well, and it just started mixing just a little bit more. So that's a good sign. I've shut the car back off. I plugged this. I can't take this off right now because the engine's 210 degrees. So I gotta wait for it to cool down to remove this. But in the meantime, I can put things back together. I can't put the engine trim back on yet, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lower it down to the ground and wait for this to cool off. If you're like me and used to wheel chock, don't forget to take it out. Alright, the engine's cooled off enough. I'm going to go ahead and remove this. I do have my plug in. So, whenever I take this top part off, it's not going to go spilling everywhere like that. Alright, now we can go ahead and take this little guy off and put our black cap back on. We're going to make sure this thing's good and tight. Alright, now I can put this back on the car as well. Get it all closed up. Make sure you put in all your little push pins too. They go all around this thing. If y'all have any questions about changing out your coolant hoses on the Acadia, please let me know down in the comment section below, and I'll try and answer them as soon as I can. Hope this video helped. If you liked any of the background music that was in this video, check out the artist's SoundCloud. Link is in the description.